All right, we'll return back to one of our top stories today here on France 24. That's the blast in Pakistan that's killed over 80 people and wounded dozens of others. Our press reviewer Leo McGuinn joins us now on set. Leo, what has the reaction been in the Pakistani papers?
As you say, Erin, one of the top stories this morning that we've been following, a suicide bombing in a mosque in Peshawar in Pakistan. The death toll has risen. The latest we have is 88. It's just expected to rise, as you'd expect, all over the Pakistani press this morning. This is Dawn, which is the largest English-speaking paper in the country. It's still not certain who is actually responsible for these attacks. It was thought that it was the Pakistani Taliban, but since a spokesman's come out and distanced the group from the attack, saying they had nothing to do with it. If we look at another Pakistani publication, this is Pakistan Today. Again, 59, a number likely to go up, as is this, 27 police officials killed in the blast. The reason there were so many policemen is that it's thought they were targeted. It was near a police station, and it's thought that the police were actually the target of the attack. If we look at this, we can see Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif. He visited the site of the blast yesterday, condemning the attacks, as you'd expect. He called it the scale of human tragedy unimaginable. He's also, as you can see here, he's called for an implementation of a national action plan to really tackle terrorism in the country, especially on the borders with Afghanistan. He's called terrorism Pakistan's foremost national security challenge.
All right, Leo, we'll change gears for this next story then and head to the United States, where the military is very close to acquiring some new bases in Asia. So why don't you tell us where these bases are and why this is so important for Washington?
Yeah, Erin, according to the Washington Post, the US are, as you say, poised to secure new bases in the Philippines. Key bases. In fact, Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin is in Manila at the moment. An announcement on that acquisition is expected as early as this week. The Philippines was once, of course, a US territory, and they've always had very close ties with Washington. They had bases there until 1991, in fact, until they closed. But now it looks like that partnership is going to resume. And why? According to the Wall Street Journal, it's to counter China and China's growing influence in the area. It comes at a time of increasing political tension between the two nations. It's important to note that the US won't have one big base. It will be several smaller bases. It's thought that that is to more appease China and to kind of avoid an escalation with Beijing. It also puts the Philippines in a bit of a precarious position because they've always had close ties to the US, but China is one of their biggest trading partners.
So what impact do you think, Leo, that this could have moving forward on relations between US and China?
Well, according to the Washington Post, and this general in particular, it could have a very big impact. This is General Michael A. Minahan. He oversees the Air Force's fleet of transport. He says war between the US and China is possible as early as 2025. What he says is the elections in Taiwan and in the US in 2024, both taking place next year, could play a key impact. It all comes from a memo that's not due to be published for a couple of days, but that's been leaked. He encourages US troops to get ready for war. If we look at the Chinese press, this is the South China Morning Post. Chinese analysts say something similar. They say the US are gearing up for war over Taiwan as both sides have increased their deterrence capabilities as of late.
Leo, we'll go to the United Kingdom for this next story, where former Prime Minister Boris Johnson has been making headlines over his extraordinary claims that Vladimir Putin directly threatened him personally with a missile strike. How are these claims being covered by the press?
It's fair to say that people are taking Boris Johnson's claims with a pinch of salt. I'll show you the front page of the Metro here. No Time to Lie, of course, a pun on the James Bond film No Time to Die. Johnson made the claim in a BBC documentary about Putin, where they interviewed leaders about their interactions with Putin. He claims that they had a call before the Russian invasion of Ukraine, where Putin reportedly said, "Boris, I don't want to hurt you, but with a missile it would take only a minute." I'll show you this on the Daily Star, and I'll give you a good zoom of how they've mocked up Mr. Boris Johnson there as a clown. They call him a liar. They also call Putin a liar, and they say it's all nonsense, which is also what the Kremlin says. As we can say in the Times, they say that Boris Johnson is lying. This comes from Kremlin spokesman Dmitry Peskov. He's completely dismissed the claims.
And finally, from you, Leo, the Oscars are still more than a month away, but there's been a bit of controversy over one of the nominees. Tell us more.
It's a case of another year, another race route for the Academy Awards. It all centres on Andrea Riseborough's nomination. As we can see in The Guardian, she was nominated for a film called To Leslie, which was critically well acclaimed, but barely anyone saw it. It grossed only $27,000 from the box office. The critics are saying that more deserving black actors, such as Viola Davis, were snubbed in place of Riseborough. In fact, her nomination was pushed by actors such as Amy Adams and Gwyneth Paltrow. They were very vocal before the nominations, saying that Riseborough should get the nod. There's now an official investigation underway, seeing if there are any rules broken. The support she received, they say, could be against the rules. Her co-star, Mark Maron, has come out and he's dismissed this, saying that she is completely deserving. Her nod is not undeserving. That hasn't stopped the hashtag White So Right from trending once more, amongst claims that the awards are whitewashed and non-white actors are ignored.
All right, Leo McGuinn, we'll see what comes of that. In any case, thank you very much for that roundup of the day's papers.